Okay, step number one, we're going to do the layouts, but there's a couple things that I want to change in our files that is not correct. Change the atrium roof, and we're going to use the roof we have already, but we're going to add another finish line on top, and it's going to be made of copper, for example. You can choose another metals, okay? So in order to do that, we're going to select the roof. We're going to edit type. We're going to duplicate it. We're duplicating always everything. We're going to place here copper. If you do aluminum, you will place aluminum or whatever other type you want. We're going to go to edit. It's going to see this. And we're going to just add. You can press here on the one and say insert so it goes on the top. Or if it comes here in the bottom, you can just move it up or down. It's going to be finish. And we're going to search, pressing this button, materials. In my case, I'm going to do copper, but you can place something like metal, and it gives you several options, like aluminum or so. I'm going to use copper. And we're going to give 1 inch thickness. As you press 1 inch and you press somewhere else, it gives you that thickness over here. Say OK. Now here's one thing actually. I'm going to go back and go to copper material and see. You see how surface pattern is in white and cut pattern is in white? I'm going to say OK. OK. The roof is being changed. It's going to take a little while because it's offsetting. What happens when the roof offsets or increases in size? It means that all those trusses are going to have to adapt to that change. That's why it might take a little bit. So there's one thing regarding materials. Let's see if it does it. That is important. You see there's no pattern. If we go actually to the brick, you see that brick pattern over there? That's actually given by the material. And you can give a pattern when you see a material in hidden line, okay? So again, if I go to the material by edit type, edit, and I go to my copper material, I can change the properties of each of the materials. For example, the copper, the surface pattern is set to white. I can click that and press, let's say this vertical, for example. Say OK, OK, and you have the pattern there. So we can control the pattern somehow. You can actually create your own patterns, but that's a little more tricky, so I will just leave it there for now. I'm going to also change the floor. Now we have to go to all the floors and change it. We're going to just add a finished floor of 1/2 inch on top, and we're going to reduce 1/2 inch the structure for an important reason I will explain now. So for that, I'm going to go to the section of the laboratory, and I'm going to go thin line TL, and I'm going to see how this floor is. This floor was made like that. I'm going to say edit type. I'm going to actually, you don't have to duplicate it. You can just say edit, so you make sure that you edit all the floors. And we're going to add another layer on top. I'm going to press insert, and we're going to call it finish material. I'm going to make a default floor. We will be able to change the floors later on. So you can place, let's see, floor. There's a default floor, meaning you can do whatever you want later on. Say OK, and I'm going to make it 1/2 inch. Now, here's the thing. I place 1/2 inch and it grows upwards, okay? That means that if I say OK now, this is going to grow upwards. It's going to be offset from the level. So the real way of doing this is first predict the finished floor and then offset your beams down. Because we don't have that luxury of time, I'm going to just reduce and subtract 1/2 inch from the structure. So if I say Okay, that has been reduced. And if I say okay here and okay, there's your new layer, and the overall thickness of the floor is the same. It's a little bit not the most serious way of doing it. Again, I should have placed the floor on top and moved all the floors down to be aligned with the level, and then take all the beams down that extra half an inch or whatever thickness. Now, because I changed one of the types, I didn't duplicate, I shouldn't. All of the floors have changed, okay? There's still one floor that we probably want to change, is this floor, level composite. And again, not because I have it this way, it's the way you should have it. You guys are much more advanced in your terminology and naming conventions, so don't follow my namings, okay? So I'm going to select that floor. I'm going to edit type. I'm going to say edit. I'm going to insert. I'm going to place finish. And also it's going to be default floor. Okay, half an inch. And we're going to place here 11 and a half. This is 0, 11 and a half. Okay. Now you have your floor. So this seems to be like a dummy thing to do, but if you go now to your floors, you don't have that texture of concrete anymore. And here's the thing, if we change the floor later on and we say instead of default floor, we place, for example, a wood cherry floor, you will have a pattern like wood. Or if you place a plastic shingles, you will have that pattern, which is what we want for architectural purposes, no? Okay, so that's done. Let's start with the layout. So there's a little bit of a guide tour here of how you could reach a layout for a purpose. I'm keeping a little bit with a question mark, as in you're open and free to extract your own logic of layout. But I think it's important that we at least stay fixed to the axis and to the grids in regards to our partition configuration, okay? So I think here in the bottom you have a very interesting combination that you could use. There's going to be a stair here and somewhere around here, so one of those rooms could be a stair and this space could be a stair as well. Between floors, I recommend that you really fix a layout for one floor perfectly, as in good, that you afterwards place one stair in that floor that goes from that floor to the top, only one. You fix again the partitions in relationship to that stair, and you fix your shaft in relationship to that stair, and then you select those things, including partitions and stairs, and copy and paste to different levels. Now all of the levels then are going to have the same floor, and we probably want to change a couple of floors just randomly, probably deleting one of the partitions in the middle here and another one there to make a 2-bay instead of a 1. Okay, so again, I'm not telling you to follow this criteria, but it's interesting to know how other programs might work. Okay. Okay, we want to create your partition types. So we did this in CAD. We draw them carefully and we place a number. I'm going to keep it a little more simplified so we don't have to do all of them, but we're going to place 6 different partition types. One that is different that we haven't done before is called the one side, meaning we're only going to place sheetrock or gypsum board in one of the sides. Okay, the rest are well known, and I'm asking you to start for the 2 hours a gypsum wallboard stud partition with the 6 1/8 partition 2 hours that we have already by default, and for the 1 hour for the exterior 5. Okay, so let's start with that. Let me close that. Now to do that, I would probably say wall, and first check what partitions I have down here. We're going to use all of this and create our own. So I'm asking you to start from the interior 6/8. I'm going to just draw here very fast and I'm gonna go to detail to see what's going on. So those are 2 layers of gypsum. That we have the metal studs, probably insulation or not, and 2 other metal. So we're gonna select this one and we're gonna copy it, for example, in here, and we're gonna duplicate this one, and we're gonna create it. That one's gonna be the one side stud partition. Okay, so we're gonna place here, delete the 2 R's, 6 A's. We're gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna say one side partition. Say okay. For that new one, we go edit, and we want to get rid of 2 finish, so we just say delete, delete. So we have the core, which is the structure, is the metal stud, and 2 finished gypsum boards in only one side. We'll say okay, okay, and you see how that changes, no? We'll copy that, select. That one's going to be the 1 hour in 5.5. It has 2 gypsum boards in one side and 1 in the other. So we have this one, we have this one too, we have this one. Let's do, actually that one we're not going to use even, so forget, I'll delete it afterwards. And we're going to just copy this one, edit type, duplicate, and we're going to make it a shaft partition. So it's going to be 2 hours, get rid of that, and we're going to say shaft. Say okay. For now we don't change it. The shaft wall actually has the same criteria in terms of layers. The only difference is how the connectors, the details in the top, middle are made. Okay, and then we're going to copy this one too, and we're going to do the chase wall. The chase wall we only will place in the back side of the bathroom, toilet area. So we're going to duplicate, and we're going to say chase partition 2 hours. Okay, and we're going to just double the structure for now. I'm going to insert, make another 3/8 there, and there should be space in between, so you can insert that. There's a thermal air layer, and you can just keep it as another 3/8 actually. Copy 3/8. You say okay. So the chase wall normally is much thicker. All the installations are going. Now, depending on the installations you're gathering, that dimension in between, that air layer, is going to be big or small. But for now, I think it's a good number. So we have our 5. Again, disregard the block walls, although it will be quite easy to do. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No? I place them here in the top. Obviously, you don't need them there. You just delete those. You have them whenever you want WA. You create walls. You're going to have them here stored. Okay. We have shaft. We have one side. We have the chase, the 6 1/8 partition 2 hours, and the 5.5 partition 1 hour. Those are the 5s we're going to use. So after this video, I'm going to go to the level 5, for example, of my lab, and I'm going to start creating a layout. Before I jump to the layout, because I don't have any of my shafts, I'm just going to do a very fast shaft by pressing shaft, rectangle, say OK, go to the 3D, wireframe, and I'm going to take it up and down a bit. Now obviously your shafts have a control of dimensions. I'm going to do a little bit just fast with that. And next video, basically, let's go to hidden lines, starts from level 5 creating partitions. Okay, it's going to be these steps. I'm going to stop that.